Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, a name we mentioned earlier in the show when we were talking about what the Browns should do at number 6 was possibly entice a team to trade up to number 6 so they could select Ty Simpson, who was getting a lot of hype in the last 48 hours as potentially the QB1 over Mendoza in this 2026 class. I can't believe what I'm hearing. And Chris, sounds like you can't either.
No, I can't. I worked at Birmingham, Alabama, covered the Crimson Tide for a few years. So coming out, I was messaging with one of my guys down there that I trust, and I said, Ty Simpson. He goes, I'm hearing second, third round. Was really hurt the last half of the year. Basically, no. Not the game-changing, franchise-changing guy, at least not right now. He only had 1 year starting. I look at the fact that Jalen Milroe, yes, he was a great college quarterback, but he wasn't that upper tier where he could never be unseated. And Ty Simpson had to sit behind him for a couple years and wait his turn. There's something to be said for that. But I look at him. I think he's probably going to be an okay prospect. He probably needs some time to develop. And I was listening to Kalen DeBoer, his head coach, on a radio show driving in this morning, and they asked him, is Ty Simpson, does he have that ability to come in day one, stop the Browns carousel, be the guy? And his head coach was a little non-committal on that, that's not my decision to make. He'll come in, he'll compete, he'll try really hard. And those are all great intangibles. But I'd rather the head coach be able to stump for his quarterback and go, this is the guy, day one, your search is over. And he just didn't quite do that.
Dustin, you're a college football expert.
Yeah, I mean, expert. I don't know about
150 years, greatest game.
I don't know if anybody's an expert. It's a tough sport to cover and be able to predict what these guys are going to do in the league. I mean, I would like to hear his coach be a little bit more complimentary and be. I remember when Deshaun came out. Dabo was like, "This is the next Michael Jordan, of football." You know what I mean? And we all can kind of laugh at that or whatever. But at least he had his guys back. And so I didn't hear the comments this morning, but I would like to hear him say, "Absolutely, yeah, he could come in there in the right system. It could be a great fit." Instead it sounds like it was not quite in.
These guys are salesmen.
It wasn't negative, but
no, I know, but he did.
It wasn't a ringing endorsement.
It wasn't over the top.
No, it was
You
not.
think he'd come out and say, "Hey, Cleveland, your problems are solved. He's your guy." That's what these guys do.
He should be stumping for him to be the number 1 overall pick to Vegas, not just 6 to Cleveland or to whoever.
Exactly.
He should be saying, Fernando Mendoza, who? Understand that they beat the crap out of Alabama in the college football playoff. That besides the point. If you really stumping for your guy,
on a scale of Brian Kelly saying, man, I really wish Deshaun Kaiser would come back for another year, to Dabo saying that Deshaun's the next Michael Jordan, it's probably somewhere in the middle, and that still doesn't give me a real good feeling.
No. Nick, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean,
you buying the recent surge in the mock draft world for Ty Simpson?
I just in watching Simpson, it looked like he got worse. Now, you guys mentioned he might have gotten hurt at the end of the year, so sometimes we don't know what guys are playing through. But I just go back, and I know you can't do this. It's one game. It's all about matchups and things like that. But I go back to that Rose Bowl game. I mean, Mendoza looked like he was playing a completely different sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, and again, he had the pieces, parts. Indiana was built very well, as we know. They won the national championship. But to say, and I know there's been some talking heads that have, they got to make headlines and different things like that. To say that Ty Simpson is a better quarterback than Mendoza is just, it's silly. And I think there's other things that play into that.
It's fair to say down the road, maybe Simpson will have a better NFL career. Or maybe he'll turn out to be the better quarterback. There's variance all the time. The first quarterback drafted,
we've seen that before.
Rarely is the best.
A guy is a little bit raw. His ceiling is higher. Sure. I don't think that's the case here.
and I don't necessarily either, but I understand if that's the case you want to present. But to come out and say, as a prospect right now, he's better based off certain instances, like I made this chart. Shout out to PFF for some of these numbers. This is against ranked opponents in their career. Mendoza started more games. That's why he has more numbers. But it's ranked opponents versus ranked opponents. Either way, those are teams in the top 25 when they played. Mendoza had a better success rate, threw the ball downfield better, had a higher completion percentage, threw for a lot more touchdowns and just one more interception. I understand college numbers do not equate to you being a good prospect. If that was the case, then guys like Colt Brennan and Bailey Zappi would be the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and we all know how their careers had turned out. But the tape, the cojones on Mendoza, won a national. He turned Indiana, and Dustin has mentioned this. He turned Indiana
powerhouse
into not only a powerhouse but a national championship program.
A wagon.
It was the worst college football program in Power 5 history before Fernando. I want to call him Francesco Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza came in.
Francisco.
Sure, I like the discourse in the lead up to the draft. I like everyone having their own individual opinions, but Dan Orlovsky is the one who's getting crushed for this. He pointed out specific instances where it's just unless he's watching a different tape, I don't know how he can say confidently what he's seeing is the truth.
And I'm glad the Pro Football Focus numbers backed it up, because Mendoza, to me, passes the eye test, but sometimes you can dig deeper and there's different things. You look at different metrics in Pro Football Focus, and you say, oh man, I'm an idiot. I was wrong. But no, he passes the eye test. And then as your graphic showed, he's pretty damn good.
And played quarterback in the NFL or at any level. I remember one of my first years down in Alabama, Nick Saban, they were going through 4 different quarterbacks trying to, and everyone's like, when are you going to name a starter? When are you going to name a starter? He said, the starter will be determined when the team rallies around the quarterback. And I remember that first year, it was Jake Coker, who most people, if you've never spent time in the SEC, have no idea who this guy is. Won a national championship with Alabama, never did anything in the pros. And there was one specific moment where he trucked a linebacker from Texas A&M, and the entire sideline jumped on him, and that was like, that's our guy. To me, Fernando Mendoza just has that aura around him, and you saw it at Indiana, that this is our guy, thick and thin, he's going to be the guy that lead us. I look at Ty Simpson, and I just don't see that same buy-in from his teammates, which is why if you're investing a number 1 overall pick, if you're the Raiders, you want the guy who's going to walk in that locker room and everyone's going to rally around him, and that's why I'm buying on Mendoza over Simpson.
I didn't think Jake Coker's name would be brought up today.
I-
We're making ultimate
Coker
clear
wasn't
sports
Natty?
history.
Yeah.
He did.
Golly,
Right?
man. I mean, I remember who he was. I just remember him being.
Dustin, he had, I don't know, 21 first-round picks around him.
Certainly helps. All right, we do have to take